Hey everybody, it's Julie from A Beautiful Horizon, and I had mentioned a while back that my mom would come on here and chat a little bit with you guys, and I finally got her to record a video. So I asked her just a couple of questions and she sent them to me so I would share them with you. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to my channel for more homeschooling, homemaking, and faith and health related content.
Hi, I'm Brenda McMenamin. I'm answering a few questions for Julie about home educating. I got to homeschool my 4 children for 22 years. They're all married and grown and on their own adventures now. So Julie's first question is why I homeschooled, and I could give like a super long answer to that, but basically what started my adventure is that my great grandmother gave her 16 great grandchildren a Bible and asked us to read a verse a day in memory of her. And I didn't know what a verse was, so I was reading a chapter a day, and then that led into reading page after page. And I just really developed a love for the word. And as I did, it really began to convict me of ways that I was living that wasn't right. And so John and I got married and we started having children. I read the scriptures in Psalm 120 says that children are a reward, a heritage, a blessing, and blessed is a man whose quiver is full of them. And I wasn't even going to have children. And so we had children. And then I just remember being pregnant and just really bonding with my baby and doing everything. I mean, we'd go swimming together, and I'd read the Bible to him when I was starting to take a nap every afternoon. And then when I had him, that continued. And so when he got toward school age, I just couldn't imagine being separated from him. That's just not the way that I read the word, especially like in Deuteronomy 6 when it says to teach your children about the Lord when you rise up, when you're eating, when you're walking by the way, when you go to sleep. I'm like, how can you do that? They're not with you. So, and at the same time, we began to run into people that were homeschooling. And so there began to be a community developed. There were women I could go to ask them how to get started. And, you know, the Lord is just so good when he asks you to do something and at first you're just clueless and you feel like you're jumping off a cliff. And then he will confirm his word and bring people into your life to mentor you. And that's what he did with us. Our school actually, or our church actually had a homeschool umbrella at one point, and that was really wonderful. And they taught us how to do our finances and how to raise children and how to have a good marriage. And so there was really that biblical community that we were just enveloped in, and it was a very healthy environment to make disciples and to raise our children. So I'm so grateful for all of that. And then as I began to homeschool, there were times where I felt like anybody could be doing better than I was. I never felt like homeschooling was a breeze. It was difficult for me, but I just learned to take all of that to the Lord and prayed through. And I would bring my request to him and would watch him sovereignly answer my prayers and make a way for me. And then as I got more experience, I began to relax a little bit in my homeschooling and really became a student myself, which makes it fun. And one thing I learned is that teaching and learning in a Hebrew method, that teaching and learning, that word is lamad, it's Lamad, and it's actually the same word. Isn't that interesting? And so I went to so many different seminars and I'd read books and just really became a student of parenting and homeschooling and began to really love it. And if I didn't know how to do something, I would just ask the Lord and watch him help me. He would really be our provider, Jehovah Jireh, our provider. And so it was fun to get to know him deeper and better in that way as a daddy for me so that I could be a good mom for my children. It's just amazing. I would literally learn from him and then teach my children. And so that's fun. That just makes it such an adventure. The second question is, what resources have helped you the most with homeschooling? That is such a great question. I'd have to say my number one resource is my relationship with the Lord. Just being able to go to Him continually and for comfort and guidance, and of course the second one would be His Word. But sometimes you can read the Word of God and it's legalistic, and if it's that way without His Spirit leading you, that would be awful. But when you can read the Word of God and you see it as a promise that our Abba Father, our Papa Daddy will help us with, then it's really fun. And like Jesus said, his yoke is not heavy or burdensome, so it's an adventure and that makes it really fun. And there are so many resources now. That's one thing I am having so much fun watching Juli homeschool my grandchildren. Her children is that she got a lot of YouTube videos. How cool is that? Where you can watch these things, and she, especially if you're familiar with the Trivium, in the younger ages, like elementary, the children are really good at memorizing. So you can get little YouTube videos on the capitals and presidents and math facts and stuff like that. That's like really a lot of fun. And then in the middle school years, researching is where they're like really strong, is teaching them. And then in the high school years is where they're ready to share what they've learned, and they love that. And so when you capitalize on that and you're looking for resources to undergird them, whether it's debates, whether they're learning to write. My children at this age would create videos, which was totally a blast. We're still trying to find some of them. Oh my goodness, when we find these lost episodes of their childhood, we'll be sure to share with you. They're hilarious. But also resources as far as companies. I mean, there's so many good ones that are Christian, and I always love the ones that taught chronologically, especially like the history and the literature. And FACE.net is probably my favorite. That's Foundation for American Christian Education, FACE.net, and they've got a curriculum guide for each subject where they define the subject, and then they talk about biblical principles, and then they've got a timeline with different people that have accomplished and produced in that subject. And so that makes it a lot of fun, and it kind of dovetails with Psalm 78, where the Lord's telling us to teach the mighty deeds of God to the next generation so that they have faith to believe commandments. And boy, that I feel like is what's missing in our culture. We want our children to know how good God is and that He did all these miracles and signs and wonders and, awesome deeds, not only in Bible times, but in the creation of our republic and now. And oh boy, it just brings history alive when you learn it that way. For what has God done? History is His story. So I just think that's so much fun. And so let me think. Resources. Oh, there's just so many good ones. If you have any questions, you can email me at info@americanheritagetoday.com, and that might be something that maybe I'll make other videos of good resources, just to kind of that's like a really good question that I could spend a lot of time answering. Her last question: what advice would you give to a new homeschooler or someone considering homeschooling? That is such a good question, because I would never want you to home educate your children because somebody else is, or because you're feeling pressured to, because it's difficult. I'll be honest with you. It was never easy for me. But what makes it easier, what makes it doable for me, is that I know that the Lord's called me to this. And so when I struggle, I can go to Him in faith and get answers and help. And grace in time of need. So that's what I want for you. So I would just really encourage you, if you're in and you're really struggling, to just get quiet before the Lord and put everything at the cross and just have a time to let Him impart to you, to make sure that this is what He has for you now. Don't get trapped in that legalism. He's just not like that. He's full of grace and mercy. But having said that, it's just such a wonderful experience. It is hard. I won't candy coat it for you, but it's the most enjoyable experience that I've had as a woman. And, we see so many women now that want to be equal to a man. And, my heart aches for them because I felt that way before I gave my life to the Lord. But when you read Proverbs 31 and you see all the things she's doing, that she's just rocking it, rocking womanhood. And we are equal. We are created equal. We don't have to struggle for it. We don't have to legislate for it. We are created different. Motherhood is a privilege and an honor and an adventure. So that's what I want for you. So you get quiet before the Lord and let him minister to you and make sure that this is what he's called you to. And he absolutely will equip you and empower you. And if there's any way that I can help you or encourage you, please email me or friend me on Facebook. Thank you. And thank you, Julie, for asking me all these questions. This has been fun. Hope that it helps somebody, and be blessed. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you for watching. I'm so glad that my mom was able to share with y'all. If you have any questions for her, you can leave them in the comments, or you can join our Facebook group. I will leave the link in the description box. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe so you don't miss my future videos. Give this a thumbs up if you thought my mom was adorable, or if you're thinking about homeschooling or you do homeschool. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!